Hi guys, Wern here, Vaping Wern, and today we make a video blog. Okay, so I'm back again today for a quick video blog, and for those of you who don't know, in my video blogs I usually talk about what's happening in the industry, and also I talk about some of the more interesting things that are going on around town, right? So let's just jump straight into it. Today I'm going to talk about an upcoming release from Athea Mods, and Athea Mods are a French modding outfit who are really made famous for their center mesh wicking, or rather center post Genesis style atomizers called the INEX series. In the INEX series, there have been multiple releases. You have the MK1, the MK2, the INEX 18, the INEX 16, the MK3, the INEX Dripper, the INEX Nano, blah, blah, blah. And one thing that has, one common thread among all the releases were that they were all Genesis style mesh atomizers, right? So what makes this release very interesting, an upcoming release I might add, that's due in the next few days, is that the guys over at INEX Mods have completely ditched what made them famous so far. In fact, they're going or exploring new territory with a RDTA format atomizer. And RDTA, that stands for Rebuildable Dripping Tank Atomizer. And what that is really a bridge between drippers and tanks. To make it easier, let's give you some examples of RDTAs. In the high-end space, you have things like the DNV Split, you have the Pitbull by Animods, and you have the K-Loud by Boost Vaping Lab. And in the more mainstream sort of segment, you have things like the Theorem by Wismec, you have the Avocado range of atomizers, you have things like the Petri tank and so forth, right? So those are RDTAs which are built on the principles of a dripper but come with a tank section attached to them. The new Athea RDTA is called the Insane, and that is a 22mm diameter in diameter, 29mm in height, and that is from the base to the drip tip measurements included, and that really makes it a very compact RDTA. For comparison, I have my Floud, and I measured it earlier. With at 29mm, it would be from the base all the way till probably the first fin of this drip tip, right? So that's relatively small in size. The Insane will have a 2ml tank capacity, and the tank section will be made out of a relatively new material called PC1000. If that name sounds familiar, it's because I believe things like the Vaporware Mods Next Tiny uses a PC1000 tank. The Animods Doggy Style uses a PC1000 tank, and even the Split Atomizer comes with PC1000 tank. What makes this PC1000 special? On one hand, it retains the positive sort of qualities of plastic. It's lightweight, it's resistant to drops. I believe there was a video posted by Vaporware Mods previously where they really tortured the shit out of the PC1000 tank, put it in boiling water, hit it with a hammer, and it still remains solid. The second sort of benefit of a PC1000 tank is that it also retains some qualities of glass or Pyrex. And when I say that, I mean that it's sturdy enough to withstand corrosive juices. The biggest problem with plastic tank sections is that you put in a corrosive juice like anise, citrus, any sort of pineapple, cinnamon, and so forth. And you will get your tank cloudy in best case scenario, the tank will crack in the worst case scenario. So really PC1000 really is a good alternative to things like Ultem and so forth. So that's an interesting choice of tank section. The other thing about the Insane is that Athea are totally sort of going the opposite direction in terms of airflow. One thing that was implemented in the MK2 INEX and carried on all the way was an airflow control through the, let me just bring up my INX, was airflow control through the top of the atomizer, right? So you spin this left and right, and that will control the sort of airflow that you get. That was present in almost all of the INX atomizers after the MK1 INX. But that is also not available on the Insane. Instead, what they're using on the Insane are the red rubber grommets, which all the INXs have used, and those are being used both as sort of the tank stopper and also as the airflow control element of it. I don't know how I feel about the airflow control element. It looks very finicky to me at first glance. You have to take off your coil before you can switch it out. They come with small, medium, and large sizes. Of course, you can completely take it off and you can run it without a grommet, and you get your total wide flow. But after using INXs for a good year or so, I've had the MK2, the 16, the 18, the MK3. I've gotten very used to sort of the restricted mouth to lung sort of draw on an INX. So I don't know how I'll feel about a direct lung inhale sort of version of the INX. Another thing that I want to talk about is, since the grommet is going to be right under the coil section, anyone who has experience with an INX knows that those red grommets, they don't really hold up very well to heat. In a sense that when you're recoiling an INX on mesh, you would almost always remove that grommet first, because if you don't, you'll turn black or you'll melt. I don't know about the long-term usage of it sitting under the coil. That does worry me a bit, let alone sort of the whole direct lung inhale sort of system. But really, that's all up for debate. I guess that when you're using a cotton tank, or rather the usage habits of cotton users these days has gone from mouth to lung on the K-Fun, but it has really gone all the way to direct lung inhales on things like drippers and even tanks, especially in RDTAs. You got things like your V-God trick tank, and I mean the airflow on that is crazy. And that seems to be like the norm or what's expected from RDTA these days. Again, yeah, I'm not going to comment too much on that. Now, looking at the deck together with the sort of tank section installed, the first thing that this tank reminds me of is actually the K-Loud atomizer by Boost Vaping Labs. A very, very similar sort of build section or a tank section. I know build-wise, you're talking about verts versus horizontals. Yes, the Insane will be running horizontal core. Yes, really big fat screws that allow you to run your Claptons and so forth. But as interesting as it is, it just raises a lot of red flags in my mind. If you're going to run it with Claptons, your grommets are going to melt. That sort of proximity with the PC1000, even though it's heat resistant, shock resistant, I don't know if it will stand up to the heat that Claptons will produce in such a small enclosed space. I mean, look at things like the Pico. It ran on U-term sort of reducers, and yet you see no shortage of people melting their U-term reducers when they are just setting up their microcoils. So as interesting as this release looks, I can sort of imagine a list of problems that could happen. Again, I haven't had a chance to run the Insane yet, and this is all just based on my observations. So I could be completely wrong. I could be eating my shoe tomorrow and calling it an amazing tank. But right now, from what I see, I'm really on the bridge about it, right? More details on the Insane. It retails for 155 euros. Price-wise, that puts it in a very familiar space. I guess when the MK3 launched in Malaysia, it was about 700-ish ringgit. So 155 multiplied by 4 point something, you get about there. So yes, very familiar price point. But this next fact about the Insane sort of will act as a good segue into the next topic I'll talk about. And that really is, who is going to be distributing it, right? I looked at the Athea Mods page, right? That's on Facebook. You just look up Athea Mods, and usually they always list up who will be distributing in what country. If you've been following Athea Mods, then you would know in Malaysia, the sort of distributorship has really been quite stable. It's been with Gadgets for quite a long time. It is also bounced between what they call vape. It is also bounced between them, Gadgets, and Vape Bar, right? For separate releases. But this time around, it's with a completely different person. A completely different store is listed as the sort of official channel to get it. And that channel is actually OVH, Oriental Vapes. And that's quite interesting to me, in fact. Oriental Vapes is run by a gentleman called Darren Low, and he's been quite active in recent times in bringing in sort of high-end products from Europe. This Athea Insane aside, previous efforts he has been doing is the Hussar Mods, Hussar Tank from Poland. He's been retailing the Octopus Mods from Belgium. Before that, he's done a lot of other pre-orders from reputable sort of European vendors. So it's going to be interesting to see what else he's going to be bringing in. And again, I say that for a reason. If you just do a quick lookup on Darren Low's profile, you'll see that he's currently in Poland. And I mean, you know, for a shop owner to be in Poland, you know that he has something up his sleeve, right? For those of you who are not so familiar with the European scene, Poland really is a powerhouse for vape. There are tons of modders and sort of both mod designers and also atomizer designers who reside in Poland. And it's interesting also because Poland has been recently in the news, or rather vape news, because of some of the laws that they have implemented. Very specifically to manufacturers, you can continue manufacturing mods and atomizers in Poland, but you cannot sell them online unless you are selling out of Poland. The exact sort of details there, I'm not sure. I'll look them up and I'll update them in the addendum. But really, what this means is that Polish modders are definitely looking for an outlet, how they can get their product out to the world. And you know, timing-wise, it does seem quite interesting that he is in Poland right now, and you know, just right after this law has been implemented. Instant deduction is that he's there looking for new things to bring in. Polish modders are welcoming him with open hands. You know, we need to get our product out. You look like a good avenue. I actually dropped him a message on Facebook, being the nosy guy that I am. I introduced myself and asked him, "Hey dude, what are you doing in Poland?" And he was very, very forthcoming, you know, replied my message very quickly and told me, yeah, I'm here in Poland. I just met up with the Hussar team. I'm also met up with people from the Kitchen Mods team, Martin and his team, and I've also met up with Barracuda Mods. Barracuda Mods, you know, they come up with things like the Woodpecker, the really sexy looking stabilized wood mechanical mod that uses the touchscreen button. Can't wait to see that here. And really, that's all good news for us because these are all really big names with really, really hard F5 lists to pick their products up from. And if he does get the distribution rights, it really is good news for us Malaysian vapers because we could potentially be getting access to a separate list from an international list. Always a good thing. We could potentially be paying an equivalent in Malaysian ringgit. We could also be potentially paying for products in ready stock versus products on a list format. These are speculations, not even confirmed, but you know, it's just fun trying to think about the possible outcomes from this event. Whatever it is, I think that Oriental Vapes is really one shop that we should be keeping our eye on, whether it's on the group or on the actual shop itself. A lot of interesting things coming up from their end. Now, this third and last topic is more of an open-ended discussion, which I'm hoping to post up to you guys. It's something that relates to all vapors, whether you're local or you're international, and really that's about the topic of e-liquids. Uh, Being from Malaysia, we are blessed with tons and tons and tons of local liquids. As some of you international guys know, Malaysian liquids are making an impact on the outside scene out of Malaysia. That's what I mean. But for us, your liquids are our international liquids. So if you're watching from the US, there's a thriving scene here for US imported liquids. The same goes for viewers from the UK. There are tons of people here who are fans of UK-based liquids as well. Now, when it comes to imported liquids, there's always been a standard sort of price. 30 ml used to go for about 90 to 120 ringgit, right? Things like Casadaga's cannoli, right? Cannoli, this used to retail for about 90 ringgit for 30 ml. There are still some liquids that retail for 90 ringgit for 30 ml. Things like 5 ponds, for example, the whole range retails 90 ringgit for 30 ml. But there's recently been a sort of shift in the balance, I would say, where US brewers are upsizing their offerings while retaining the same price. A prime example would be the Charlie Noble line of liquids, where things like the Stroop Waffle, Brian, this is all your fault, but the Stroop Waffle is now upsized to a 60 ml bottle, still retailing at 90 ringgit, same price as a 30 ml liquid used to retail for. And that's really interesting for the consumer. It feels like you're getting double the value for your money. It doesn't stop there though. Also sort of related to Charlie Noble, the Vape Dojo Good Cookie is now sold in 100 ml bottles, and this retails for 90 ringgit. So again, it went from 30 ml for 90 to 100 ml for 90. And that's really not the biggest bottle we have yet. There's this new guy called Rocket Punch, and they are retailing 120 ml bottles. 120 ml is just silly buying such a big bottle, but for the price, it'll be silly not to buy it. These are priced at about 140 ringgit. So this really puts the whole sort of vaping e-liquid ecosystem in an awkward position where we have our local brewers, local Malaysian brewers who are selling liquids at 50 ringgit, 55 ringgit for 30 mLs. But then you have US liquids which are retailing for 90 ringgit for 60 ml. Effectively, they are going for 45 ringgit for 30 ml. And they are now undercutting local liquid prices. We've seen a number of sort of variations of how our local brewers are sort of developing their business strategies. Some brewers, they are being very loyal to their brand, and instead of dropping their price, they are starting to venture out of the country. They're trying to export their product even more. And truth be told, credit where credit is due. Some of these local liquids really are awesome. They're amazing and really worth the price that they hold. But on the other end of the spectrum, you have guys who are going as low as 35 ringgit for 55 mils of liquid. In their sort of viewpoint, it's the right move because they're fighting dollar for dollar. But is it really the right move for them? As a consumer, I have absolutely no problem with it. I welcome any price drop. I welcome any volume increase. But as a thinking man, you just have to think about the cost versus the profit, the worth of doing liquid at that price anymore. Does that mean they're cutting back on the quality of the ingredients? One thing I would say is yes, I've seen an inherent shift from the use of menthol crystals to the use of cooling agents, for example. And that does sort of alter the quality of the liquid. But yeah, really, is slashing price the way to go to combat the influx of affordable US juices? I really don't know. I really can't tell. And that's where you come in. That's where I'm asking you, the viewer, the consumer, number one. What's your thoughts on this? Do you like what's going on? Do you like the sort of competitive nature that's been introduced these days? Or are you worried that the quality of local juices will drop in order to stay competitive? Right? Question number 2, if you are a local brewer, what's going through your mind right now? How do you feel about the influx of more affordable US liquids which are eating into your sort of market? I would love to hear from you. And question number 3, this goes out to you foreign brewers, US brewers in particular. If this message reaches you, I would really like to know what does this price drop or this affordability drop mean to you as an international seller? Is it because the local scene there is being too saturated, or are you just trying to employ some interesting tactics to break yourself into foreign markets? Let me make a disclaimer. I'm not asking these questions to spy. I'm in no way affiliated closely with any liquid brands, but really it's a question that I'm really interested to ask you as a vapor and also as a blogger. It's in sort of a journalistic way that I'm asking these questions, right? So if you're watching this by now, if you can answer it, please do share the message around. I would love to hear back from all you guys, yeah? Okay, so I guess that's about it. I better end my video blog here before I start boring you guys way too much. It was fun, and I hope it's been fun for you. And I look forward to recording the next video blog sometime next week. Okay, so in the meantime, do think about the questions I left you. And also, if you have any other questions, comments, or feedback about this video blog, please do leave them in the comments below, right? Okay, till next time, signing off. This is Vaping Wern. Bye.